Sienna God, hello all. Good afternoon, Wado. Thank you for watching. This is day 5 of reading Hollywood Babylon by Kenneth Angers. And we are finishing, or I don't know, we're finding out more about Rudy. So it said, I'm going to read the last sentence because I cut it because they had so many pictures in between. This and similar attacks found, oh, this is part B, by the way. I don't know if I said that. This and similar attacks found their origin in Valentino's well-known taste for sartorial extravagance, his famous slave bracelet without which he was never seen in public, his gold jewelry and preference for heavy perfumes, chinchilla-lined coats and pronounced Italianate, Italianate, coquetry, coquetry. His virility was further impugned when it became known that the women he married were both lesbians. When Natasha Rambova, R-A-M-B-O-V-A, Valentino's second wife, in parentheses, whose slave bracelet he wore at all times, close parentheses. What is this with a slave bracelet? What are y'all talking about? Divorced him in 1926, it was revealed that the marriage had not been consummated. A similar charge had been advanced during divorce proceedings with his first wife, Jean Acker. In 1922, she accused him of slighting her in the sexual department and of slugging her as well. Oh man. Rudy married his second lesbian before his divorce decree from his first was final. This oversight led to his arrest for bigamy. Both Jean Acker and Natasha Rambova were quote-unquote proteges of the exotic and equally lesbian actress Alla Nazamovia, Hollywood's most distinguished feminine import at that time, whose bohemian gatherings at her famous Sunset Boulevard estate, the Garden of Allah, oh whoa, caused considerable comment. I bet it did. It was Natasha who designed the Beardsley-esque costumes for Allah's own production of Salome. Is it Shalom or is it Salome? S-A-L-O-M-E, in which Nazimova starred herself employed only homosexual actors as quote-unquote homage to Wilde, W-I-L-D-E, and lost her shirt. Matchmaker Allah introduced Rudy to both his wives. Hang on, make sure I didn't skip it. Almost licked my fingers. I mean, this is my book, but anyway. And was believed in Hollywood to have stage managed both marriages, erratically to judge by the results. While Rudy may have been maneuvered into matrimony with an assist from Allah, I don't know how you say that, A-L-L-A, there is no doubt he sought women stronger than himself and was attracted to quote-unquote butch ladies. Valentino called Natasha, in quotes, the boss. And she lived up to the name so well, constantly high-handing her husband's career at Paramount, that Zucker resorted to contract with a clause barring her from the set. She retaliated by ordering Rudy to leave Paramount. She then wrote a screenplay for Valentino, The Hooded Falcon, which proved, quote-unquote, unproducible. After considerable investment in time and money, one collaboration of Natasha and Rudy saw the light of day, a slim volume of verse entitled Daydreams, whose closing lines are, alas, at times I find exquisite bitterness in your kiss. Whatever his private accommodations with his virile wives may have been, the public slurs on his manhood caused him such bitterness that even as he lay dying, fighting stoically against terrible pain, he asked the physicians at his bedside, end quote, and now do I act like a pink powder puff? End quote. At the news of Valentino's death, 2 women attempted suicide in front of Polyclinic Hospital. In London, a girl took poison before Rudy's inscribed photograph, and an elevator boy of the Ritz in Paris was found dead on a bed covered with Valentino's photos. My lord. Here's a picture. It says, "There's a new star in heaven tonight, Rudolph Valentino," by J. Kieran Brennan, Irving Mills, and Jimmy McHugh. I don't know what the smaller letters say. There's that, and I just couldn't read that line right there. While Valentino was lying in state at Campbell's funeral home, New York streets became the scene of the ghoulish carnival as a mob of over 100,000 fought for a last glimpse of the great lover. The body was flanked by phony fascists, black shirt guards at attention, with an equally phony wreath labeled, in quotes, from Benito. Nearby, a press agent sent by Campbell's, whose cosmeticians really made Rudy's corpse resemble a quote-unquote pink powder puff. Well, that's not nice. Among those who won admittance to the candlelit bier, B-I-E-R, were his ex-wife, Jean Acker, whose display of grief at the coffin's edge might have been tempered had she known Rudy left her a solitary dollar in his will. Whoa. And Pola Negri, who upstaged everybody by rushing in from Hollywood, decked out in chicest mourning weeds. She sobbed and fainted before the coffin and the photographers. Between sobs, Pola claimed she had promised her hand to Rudy. Another claim was immediately filed in the papers by Ziegfeld girl Marion K. Brenda, who stated Valentino had proposed to her in Texas Gwynan's, G-U-I-N-A-N, Gwynan's nightclub the evening before he was stricken. As Rudy's body was shipped west for entombment in the Court of the Apostles of Hollywood Memorial Park Cemetery, a commemorative song was crooned by Rudy Vallee, V-A-L-L-E-E, over the nation's radios. In quotes, "There's a new star in heaven tonight." And the letters are spaced out for his name, Rudy Valentino, end quote. There's dashes in between each letter, so I'm saying. Valentino's demise at 31 left inconsolable paramours of both sexes to judge by the tear-streaked testimonials. Aside from the, in quotes, lady in black, bearing flowers annually to the mausoleum on the anniversary of his death, the memory of Rudy was cherished by Ramon Navarro, who kept a black lead Art Deco dildo embellished with Valentino's silver signature in a bedroom shrine, a present from Rudy. What? Okay, anyway, so this says Valentino Memorial in DeLongpre Park, Hollywood. And I can't read enough of that. It's like some sort of a marble thing. And it's got an inscription there, but this part makes it too light to read all of it. And then this is the lady in black. The Dirty Hun. Another perennial source of scandalous rumor in Hollywood during the 20s revolved on the question of what really went on during the shooting of the notorious quote-unquote orgy scenes in films that stormy individualist Erich von Stroheim, S-T-R-O-H-E-I-M. There was ample room for speculation as the deluxe bordello sequences directed by Stroheim for Merry Go Round, The Merry Widow, The Wedding March, and the unfinished Queen Kelly were all closely guarded conclaves on stages where even the studio chiefs were quote-unquote off limits. It is no wonder these sessions under the hot cliques were considered to be not just make-believe, but veritable Lupercalia, L-U-P-E-R-C-A-L-I-A. Shooting sometimes continued for 20 hours without pause on the locked stages. Stroheim, quote-unquote, treated the participants to squab and caviar and served real champagne in spite of prohibition. The hand-picked extras, exotic women and aristocratic types, and aristocratic types, many of whom were genuine E-M-I-G-R-E-S, immigrants, often emerged with a look of having spent a weekend in Sodom, bleary-eyed and staggering. Good Lord, that's terrible. Some girls teetering on the edge of hysterics bore evidence of whip marks or bites. Oh my God. Stroheim saw to it these extras were handsomely rewarded for the hours of overtime. Oh my gosh. They respected their directors. Let me see. Okay. They respected their director's law of silence once off the closed set. My Lord. This is a picture. It says Vaughn, quote unquote Vaughn, not just make believe. Stroheim often devoted weeks of work and considerable chunks of Universal, Paramount, and Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer money as well as the personal fortunes of Gloria Swanson and Joseph Kennedy. Huh. Is there any relation to Kennedy, you know? Filming wild scenes at the Alt Vine, maybe, WIEN, decadence that no censor in the world at that time could have passed. Certainly not Will Hayes with his prim purity code of quote-unquote don'ts and quote-unquote be carefuls. Since the complete rushes of the orgy footage were only seen by a few of Vaughn's cronies, and the horrified studio bosses hacked the scenes to shreds to comply with Hayes' strictures. In parentheses, the censors would then make their additional cuts so that only a few teasing flashes from the orgies remained in their release prints. Close parentheses. Imagination ran riot as to what actually had gone on. It was believed that the quote-unquote show being watched with such avidity through a row of peepholes in the wedding march really was worth peeping for. It was known that for just one scene in the same film, Stroheim imported a professional lady sadist from Vienna, good lord, skilled in the application of the quote-unquote spider. The fancy brothel of the wedding march had featured whores of all races, each with her exotic specialty, the fairies in white wigs and white body makeup, who played stringed instruments. And this is another picture. It says, fun and games in the wedding march. That's really weird. I mean, the whole movie sounds weird, but Jesus. So in this photo, you can see it. There's a guy right here looking like biting something on her or of her. I have no idea. This guy has something that looks like you hit somebody with, and then some sort of a, I don't know if that's a crop of some sort. All these people all around. And this lady is kind of loosely tied up and stuff, and people are like running their hands through her hair and everything. That's a dang shame. Anything for money, right? Like, my God. This says the Merry Widow Fatal Shoe Fetish. Back it up a little bit. Anyway, I'll get the rest of my sentence over here. Okay, white body makeup who played stringed instruments had been blindfolded to prevent recognition of the quote-unquote knobs present. The chastity belts of the Negro quote-unquote slaves were sealed with heart-shaped padlocks. One refinement due more to Stroheim's imagination than Austria-Hungary's depravity was a pretty pair of accommodating Siamese twins. That's terrible. Like, all this is terrible. It is suspected Stroheim was burning up MGM money with malice aforethought on such unshowable scenes in revenge for the destruction of the miles of negative of his epic study, and avarice, greed, by his mortal enemies, Irving Thalberg, Thalberg, production chief of MGM, and its new boss, Louis Mayer. Thalberg earned Stroheim's enmity in 1923 when the former was production manager at Universal and took the direction of merry-go-round away from Vaughn after he had indulged in a series of wild extravagances, such as ordering silk underdrawers with the monogram of the Imperial Guard for the guardsmen in the film. In spite of the fact that his MGM film, The Merry Widow, was a subsequent box office smash, the fantastic scruples of Stroheim were not made to please the likes of Mayer and Thalberg. They set out to quote-unquote get him and spread the word around town that Vaughn was an untrustworthy wastrel, W-A-S-T-R-E-L, quote-unquote uncommercial, and a sex maniac. The legend of his extravagance, which began as a publicity stunt at Universal when his name had been written in quotes Stroheim, and the S was the money symbol. During the shooting of Foolish Wives, eventually boomeranged, Vaughn now had difficulty finding backers. The front office men echoed from studio to studio that, in quotes, working with Stroheim was like shoveling dollars down a well, end quote. The saga of Stroheim in Hollywood, the battle of a giant against pygmies, was doomed to end badly. The little minds of the front office men got the better of this ferocious visionary after his disenchanted return to Europe. Heinrich von Stroheim declared, in quotes, "Hollywood killed me." That was the least Hollywood could do to the most disconcerting genius who ever challenged its cardboard dogmas. And this one says, Queen Kelly, unfinished masterpiece. Good Lord. I wonder if those are statues or people in the background. Let's see. There we go. This one says, Stroheim and his beloved celluloid. He looks like he could play a villain, couldn't he? I agree. Hollywood headlines. Whether the power behind the press happened to be Big Daddy Hearst with his redolent rotten apple yellow sheet, the mirror, his gutter competitor Bernard McFadden, MacFadden, and his wildly fibbing graphic with the C at the end being capitalized, or just some fever-brained small-town editor trying to make a go of it. The pulp and ink wiseacres all knew Hollywood headlines sold newspapers, if they were spicy, shocking, or downright scandalous. For all Hayes might whine on in his Hoosier twang and appeals for the papers to report film colony news, quote-unquote, fairly, the press devoted much more space to Hollywood's 14 top-name divorces and 3 separations for the year 1926, for instance, than it did to the 23 stellar marriages of that same year. Canon Chase, one of the 20's more pushy professional prudes, was overjoyed when word leaked out in 1926 that Will Hayes had taken payola, Payola, from Harry, quote-unquote, Teapot Dome Sinclair. While a member of Harding's cabinet, Chase lashed out in the press at Hollywood and Hayes, claiming Celluloid City was just as incident as ever, and implying that he could do a nippier job in the cleanup department. So it says, Luella and Hedda, a witch's brew. Hayes maintained a prim silence under his competitor of the class frontal assault. He was busy seeing to it that the nation's churches received notice of Hollywood's holier-than-thou intentions in Cecil B. DeMille's Superpious, Superpious, King of Kings, a forthcoming screen sermon, and that H.B. Warner, the queen who played the Christus, Christus, drank not, neither would he smoke or swear. This is visiting gossipist Elsa Maxwell, Hollywood Genuflex, Genuflects. See it in blue, but anyway. Moreover, the Virgin Mary would have to forget about her plans for divorce. Okay, I didn't skip anything. In spite of these unctuous UNCTUOUS handouts, the press continued its wicked anti-Hollywood bias as the 20s played itself out. The groundwork had been laid with the Arbuckle-Taylor-Reid scandals, topped by the salacious tales leaked out to the nation during Chaplin's sticky split from Lita Gray. If the tabs needed something, quote-unquote, grabbing for a weekend edition, if the Hall Mills or Schneider Gray mayhem was running thin, or if Daddy Browning and Peaches were beginning to pall, P-A-L-L, there was always a quote-unquote expose of some new vice or peril to America's girlhood in Hollywood, city of sin. There was always some delusioned, quote-unquote, beauty queen around who hadn't made it, willing to tell the world that she had been, quote-unquote, ruined by the movie Minions. For a picture on page 1 and a price, the image was also helped along by Mae Murray, M-A-E, who sold her sensational, quote-unquote, memoirs to be serialized in Hearst's Folk Surrealist Sunday supplement, The American Weekly. One juicy installment entitled, in quotes, The Dirtiest Hun in Hollywood, end quote, I'll leave it there. Dun to go hanky, Vina Kushowski, to me again, love you, mean it.